The story of the creation of Adam and Eve is one of the most profound and foundational narratives in human history. Deeply rooted in the sacred texts of the Bible, it is a tale that not only explains the origins of humanity, but also offers a glimpse into the divine purpose, the nature of human existence, and the relationship between God and his creation. In the beginning, there was nothing but the vast, formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. God, in his infinite wisdom and power, spoke the universe into existence. Through his word, light emerged, separating day from night, and the heavens and the earth took shape. The waters were gathered, and dry land appeared, bringing forth vegetation, trees, and all kinds of plants that would bear seeds and fruit. The sun, moon, and stars were placed in the heavens to mark the passage of time and to give light upon the earth. As the days unfolded, God filled the skies with birds and the seas with creatures of every kind. He created animals to roam the earth, each according to its kind, and saw that it was good. Yet amidst the splendor of creation, there was a divine plan yet to be fulfilled, the creation of a being made in his own image, a creature capable of reflecting his glory and sharing in his love, the love of self-determination. Exegy. And so God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." With this divine decree, God formed man from the dust of the ground. He carefully shaped him, breathing into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. This act of creation was unique, for unlike the rest of creation, which came into being through God's spoken word, man was formed with his hands and brought to life by his breath. This intimate act underscored the special relationship between God and humanity. Greet them in unity, and you hear the echoes. The man, whom God named Adam, was placed in the Garden of Eden, a paradise filled with every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. In the midst of the garden stood two trees of profound significance, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God commanded Adam, saying, "You may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." God observed Adam as he tended the garden and named the animals, realizing that it was not good for man to be alone. In his compassion and wisdom, he decided to create a suitable helper for Adam. God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and while he slept, he took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. From the rib, God fashioned a woman and brought her to Adam. The woman got hungry, ate. Orange covered itself until within a week, the rib got fashioned at its flesh. From the rib got fashioned at its flesh. When Adam saw her, he exclaimed, "This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." The creation of the woman, later named Eve, marked the completion of God's creation. Together, Adam and Eve were given the mandate to be fruitful and multiply, to fill the earth and subdue it, and to have dominion over all living things. They were created to live in harmony with each other, with nature, and with God, enjoying the blessings of the garden and the intimate fellowship with their Creator. The story of Adam and Eve is not merely a tale of origins, but a profound reflection on the nature of humanity and the divine purpose. Their creation in the image of God signifies the inherent dignity and worth of every human being. It also speaks to the unique role of humanity as stewards of creation, entrusted with the care and preservation of the earth and all its inhabitants. The garden was a place of innocence and purity, where Adam and Eve lived without shame or fear. They were naked, yet unashamed, for they were clothed in the righteousness and glory of God. Their relationship with each other was one of mutual love and respect, reflecting the unity and harmony that God intended for all human relationships. However, the story of Adam and Eve is also a story of choice and the consequences of disobedience. Zion says, God's command regarding the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was a test of their trust and obedience. It was a reminder that while they were given dominion over creation, they were still subject to the authority of their Creator. This test highlights the importance of free will in the relationship between God and humanity. Love and obedience cannot be coerced. They must be freely given. The presence of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the garden symbolizes the reality of moral choice and the responsibility that comes with it. The narrative of Adam and Eve is rich with symbolism and meaning. The formation of man from the dust of the ground reminds us of our humble origins and our dependence on God for life and sustenance. The breath of life that God breathed into Adam signifies the divine spark within each of us, the image of God that sets us apart from the rest of creation. The creation of Eve from Adam's rib underscores the equality and unity of men and women, highlighting their complementary roles in God's plan. The garden itself is a symbol of God's provision and care, a place where humanity can thrive in fellowship with Him. As we reflect on the story of Adam and Eve, we are reminded of the profound truths about our own nature and purpose. We are created in the image of God, endowed with the capacity for love, creativity, and moral choice. We are called to live in harmony with each other and with the natural world, exercising stewardship and care for the earth. Above all, we are invited to live in relationship with our Creator, walking with Him in faith and obedience. The story of Adam and Eve also points to the reality of human frailty and the consequences of sin. Their disobedience led to the loss of innocence and the introduction of suffering and death into the world. Yet even in their failure, God's grace and mercy were evident. He clothed them in garments of skin, providing for their needs even as they faced the consequences of their actions. And Bartow Phillips says, after putting on the suit of a man and he fled, this act of grace foreshadows the ultimate redemption that would come through Jesus Christ, the second Adam who would restore what was lost through his obedience and sacrifice. The story of Adam and Eve is a testament to the goodness and sovereignty of God, the dignity and responsibility of humanity, and the hope of redemption. It is a story that continues to resonate with us today, reminding us of our origins, our purpose, and our destiny. As we contemplate this ancient narrative, may we be inspired to live lives that reflect the image of God, to care for His creation, and to walk in faith and obedience to His will. As we look in history, we contemplate the image of His greatness and mark His will, all under an evil and dark debt.